Morning, guys. I said every Monday I would do a quick video and recommend a book. Okay, so this week's book is Finding Peace by the same author as the book I recommended last week, which is Lama Rinpoche Losal Rinpoche. Lama Rinpoche Losal Rinpoche. His first book that I recommended last week, which is like a story of his life, is just incredible. This book is a small book and it is a beautiful text. I bought it for my son for Christmas, and my son's 12, which just goes to show that it's good for kids as well. It's very to the point, cuts like a knife through to the core text of meditation and the benefits of meditation and Buddhism. Just 1 second, I'm going to make a note here for what I want to talk about today. And some of the techniques in there are great as well. And he's been an intense meditator for 40 years, literally, in and out of like 5-year-long retreats and what have you. So a beautiful book. Definitely recommend it. It's called Finding Peace by Lama Rinpoche Losal Rinpoche. Okay. The other things I wanted to talk about, and I'll try and keep them quite quick, is Tom Barnett recommended a gentleman called Arjunus von der Planets. Okay. So as soon as I started looking for his work, I couldn't find his work. He's not somebody who you can just go on YouTube and find videos of. There's none of his books. If you want to buy his books, they're all on the second-hand market, and the book called We Want to Live is like $150. I'm in the process of just printing out a PDF of the book. But I went on to Odyssey, okay? And Odyssey has a playlist on there of like 19 videos, and they're all like around an hour long. So there was a lot of material there. So I managed to get through about 3.5 hours worth of his material over the weekend. And I've got to be honest, it resonates with me a lot, and it goes against a lot of the things that I've shared in the past. Okay, so as I've shared before, and I don't want to repeat myself, if you go onto my YouTube channel or down my Facebook page, you'll find some other videos that I've done on how to bless whatever we eat, okay? And how everything we eat is conscious. Plants are conscious, okay? I've shared the presentation around Australia. I've been sharing Cleve Baxter's work for years, literally years. Cleve Baxter proved that plants feel emotion, concern, everything, okay? So we bless everything. Anything that comes into our body, we bless their soul journey, and I explain how to do that. What Arjunus is saying though, and he's got a fascinating story, a really fascinating story of the suffering he went through. He went through incredible suffering, okay? And when he come out of his suffering to some degree, he went vegetarian and he went vegan. And when he spent time with the native Indians, I think he spent time with like 7 or 11 different tribes. They all said to him, you need to eat raw meat, right? And he thought, because he said we're all in a fear-based mindset in the West, we're trained, programmed to fear everything. He said, he just thought, oh, the indigenous people are trying to kill the white man. And he had this incredible story where he was suffering so much that he tried to starve himself to death. He tried to kill himself a few times, but he tried to starve himself to death. This one time he'd had enough. So he lived outside, and he said every night he would hear coyotes around him. And then he said after a while, he said, I thought it would take me about 40 days to die. And he said after about 20 or 30 days, he said the coyotes circled me in the night and they dropped a dead rabbit. But he said like a hare in England, I should imagine. He said it was a huge rabbit. And he said they put it down in front of me and they offered it to me. And he said I was half delusional because I was starving, I was foggy, and I was sick. And he said, and I thought, oh, they're trying to kill me, so I'll eat this rabbit and I'll die and then they'll eat me. And he said again, the way the mind's programmed, he said when I went up to this rabbit, he said the first thing I thought of was, my brain went straight to when I was a kid and my uncles and my nephews used to hunt rabbits. And they used to say that if you don't cook a rabbit's flesh to a certain temperature for a certain amount of time, there's something in the rabbit's flesh that will kill you in 48 hours. So he said straight away I went into that fear. But he said I knew I was dying anyway, and he said then I wanted to die. So he said I ate the rabbit. I started eating the rabbit, and he said because I loved animals, he said it was still warm. He said it was gross. He said it was horrible. But he said he was starving, and he said but then he starts getting to a point where he was just couldn't eat enough of it. And he said I've died twice before on operating theatres. And he said when the soul leaves the body, all the pains and everything in the body stay with the body. He said it feels nice. And then he got brought back. So in this situation, after he'd ate a chunk of the rabbit, when he was walking back to his tent, he said he felt good. And he said, so I knew I was dying. He said, I thought I'm dying. So he said, if I feel good, I'll go asleep now and I'll be dead in the morning. Well, he woke up in the morning and his brain fog had gone and he felt better. And then he went through a period of time where he was eating anything like scorpions and spiders and things like this. Now, his theory is that bacteria, and I believe this because we are told that all bacteria is bad. You look at commercials, kills 99.9% of bacteria, okay? This is how people sell their products. He said, but I knew this fact. He said, we are 1%, less than 1% human being. The rest is bacteria, okay? We've known that for years. He's saying, so if you have antibiotics or you have how we live in today's world, trying to sanitize and kill bacteria, you're just killing yourself, right? So he said, in nature, healthy bacteria, the more bacteria, the better. Now, even Gary Brecher, who's this new guy I've been listening to a lot, he says, we need to put strain on the body, otherwise it doesn't function optimally, and it's incredibly resilient. We need to go out in the cold and go out in the heat. We need to challenge our immune system, otherwise it weakens. Okay, we need to challenge our muscles. If we don't challenge and put strain on our bones, they don't get bone density. We need to break down muscles to build muscles. We need to work our nervous system to strengthen our nervous system. Okay, and this is what yoga does. This is what Tai Chi does. This is what Qigong does. Okay, so all these, and it's very important to keep a spiritual practice here. So I've been trying. I ate some raw liver, and I've tried some raw meat. Now it's not easy for me. I've been a vegetarian, a vegan for years. It's not easy for me. Okay. But this is how I'm looking at it as well. And I don't want to repeat myself in my last videos, but how I prepare myself for that is I think this is matter, okay? And it's got things that can serve me, and I can serve in exchange the soul of this food, and I offer the blessing that I've already gone over. And then I prepare myself, because most of the things that make people sick is the thought. We think it's going to taste a certain way. We think of all these things. I try and settle myself down with a mantra for the soul, for the food, calm myself, and then settle myself into it's just matter. It's just gonna eat it, right? And when I eat it, it's never what the mind thinks it's gonna be. But it's still not easy, okay? It's still not easy. It's still not something that I enjoy, okay? So, and again, I've tried a couple of different techniques. Like my friend James said, he flash fries his organs. I tried that. Funny, because that brings out the taste. If you don't like the taste, I wouldn't cook it. I would keep it raw. But this guy is saying, and he shares some good things, good examples. He says, we need raw fats. He reckons he runs at between 25, when he was alive, he died by falling off a balcony, which was interesting. But he reckons he runs between 25 and 45% body fat, and he doesn't look fat. He says when we heat fats, especially animal fats, they swell. And when they swell, they don't do the same thing in the body. Okay, we get fat that's not good fat. But he said fats are actually tiny molecules, right? So he says when we're eating raw fats, like raw milk, you look at the milk industry, right? They started pasteurizing milk and heating it to a point where all the goodness, all the enzymes is dead, right? And this is why it causes so much mucus. This is why people are lactose intolerant. Raw milk, which is banned over here. Now they have to call it, over here, they have to call it bath milk, okay? So they're saying that it's used for just in the bath because it's good for your skin. So raw milks, I found a raw milk yesterday. All the milks are white in the place that I went yesterday, and they had a raw milk. The only one that was like a creamy color, and every bottle had separated, okay? Which is good. We want the bacteria. Some traditions actually believe that they only drink sour milk. Okay, they let their milk go sour because it's got more bacteria in it. But the cream on the top was just tasted so good. And so long story short, I shook it up and I've started having some raw milk, right, with a raw egg in it. Okay, now it turns out my great grandfathers on both sides used to do this every morning. But why do we need fats? In today's toxic environment, you need fats for toxins to go to, okay? Now, he made a great point. He said, if you look back in the 50s and beforehand, and you look at different tribes and traditions around the world, a sign of beauty and strength is a woman that carries some weight, right? Because they were the resilient women that could look after the kids, feed the kids, and survive harsh conditions, right? Now he says, when women were curvy, they never had cellulite. I thought this was very interesting. He said, if you look in today's world, a lot of women are skinny with cellulite. He said, cellulite is the body trying to create pockets of fat to store the toxins because our environment's so toxic. That made sense to me, okay? Very different perspective on parasites, mold, and bacteria. He says parasites can consume, it's something ridiculous, like 30 times their body weight, and they excrete next to nothing, very, very little. So he says this is a great janitor. He says same with bacteria. Bacteria is the same, it's not as efficient as parasites. But he's basically saying, to my understanding, because I've still got a lot to learn from this guy, but he's basically saying when the body needs parasites, right, it will hold on to parasites so they can clean up. When a body doesn't need parasites, it will get rid of them. Now this makes sense to me, and I'll tell you why. Because in the world right now, while everyone thinks fat is bad, and I agree with that, because a lot of the fats people are having now are bad fats, right? But he's basically saying if the body lymphatic system is clogged and it can't get rid of toxins, it needs fats. Now, if you don't have fats, okay, which a lot of people are trying to be thin, and the vegan community and all the rest of it, and I'm not blaming them, I'm just saying, but I know being in the vegan community, parasites is a big thing. So the body's holding on to parasites, and then we're trying to deworm and get rid of them, when really The body's holding on to parasites to try and counteract the toxins in our environment. Again, I've shared a little bit. I won't go into it too much in this video. It might take up too much time. But viruses are also created by the body as solvents to try and clean up the body. This is why when you get the influenza or the flu, it's the Herxheimer reaction. It's the body using everything it's got to try and get toxins out of the body. So he talks about, and this is only one, I could go into a few different things, but I want to keep this video shortish. He talks about fruitarians. Now, I found this really interesting. He said if the body has no fats for the toxins to go to, the toxins will attack the nervous system. Now, this is an interesting point. I don't want to say a few names, but I won't say the names. But there's two people that came straight to mind when he shared this next thing. He said in this video, he said, if you know any fruitarians, they can't sit still. They cannot be grounded. Okay. He said, if you look at monkeys eating a lot of fruit, they're always jittery. This is why, as well, in Buddhism, they call it the monkey mind, the mind that can't settle in meditation, right? Now, I watched a documentary with my father when I was a kid, and I watched how a few times a year, in the wildlife show I watched, they didn't know why they did this, but a few times a year, the monkeys just go ape shit. Okay, they go crazy. I don't know whether that phrase came from that. Someone's gone ape shit, but they go crazy, right? And they will kill each other or kill anything. I remember watching this. They go on a killing spree basically. But when they were doing this wildlife show, these monkeys would go nuts, and they said we don't know why they choose a specific monkey, but they basically will just all chase one monkey and rip it to shreds, eat it alive. They all cannibalism. They eat their own kind, right? So this gentleman's saying, this Arjuna is saying, they eat so much fruit, right? And they eat so much fermented fruit, like fermented figs and everything, that they basically go nuts. They just go psychotic, right? With all those sugars and everything in their system, and they'll kill anything. They kill each other. And he said, if you see a fruitarian, they are agitated. Now, the first thing when he said that, there's two people I know who are famous in the public eye. And one of them I really like his research. Okay, I think he's a great researcher. But the two of them are fruitarians. And the two of them act the same. I think they're friends, right? They act the same. And one of them has been very vocal and very honest. For years, he's struggled with parasites. He's tried all the deworming from the horse dewormers. He's tried everything. I even contacted him. I was in contact with him for a while, and I suggested he goes on MMS. And he said he was getting good results from MMS. But the way he delivers his message and the way the other guy delivers his message is very all over the place, right? They're scatty, they're scratchy, they're wired, they speak in absolutes. This is the absolute truth, and everyone else is an effing idiot. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like they act the same, and they're jittery, and they're not, for me, they're not grounded at all. And they just came to mind when he said that. I thought, wow, that makes sense. Now, you look at somebody like that whose body doesn't have the fats to try and get rid of the toxins based off what this gentleman's saying. Then their nervous system's getting attacked by toxins. The body's trying to hold on to parasites to detox, and they're trying to flush the parasites out. And at the same time, they're just giving themselves sugars and fibers that we can't digest. And he said, we are in a funny position, humans, he said, because our intestinal tract is not as long as a full carnivore. A full carnivore's stomach is very short, and it's designed to just break down proteins and pass them out. But we're definitely not in the same boat as an omnivore. Omnivores have multiple stomachs, sometimes up to 10, and their intestinal tract is so much longer than ours. So we definitely don't chew our food and get and process vegetation and fruits like an omnivore would. So again, I'm not saying this is right. I'm just sharing what this gentleman's saying. And also, I'm going to do a video soon. Sorry, I'm going to do a video soon. And I don't want to do this because I don't want to be the tool who takes his top off on a video, right? Everything I share, I try and bring a spiritual perspective to whatever it is. And I want to finish this video on the same thing. But I would like to show my body change, right? You probably haven't seen my body originally, but I've started doing very little training again. I haven't been killing myself. I'm 40 now. So I found a method using bands, which I really like because I can do a decent training session, put quite a bit of resistance through the body, but don't feel stiff, because with the bands, they support your weakest range of motion. The most resistance is in your strongest range of motion. So I've been doing a little bit of training, and obviously I've got muscle memory because I've trained before in the past. But my body has changed, I believe, quite a bit. I always had a swollen belly when I ate, because I would always eat good stuff, but I'd eat like the best breads I could find. If I was eating bread, I would eat the best, I eat good stuff. But what I've stopped doing is I've cut out bread, full stop. I've increased my raw food. I've increased my raw butters, my raw milk, raw eggs. I've been eating a little bit of raw meat. I couldn't say I'm eating a lot of meat. I'm not, but I'm eating a bit of raw meat. And my body has changed dramatically. My swollen belly was not necessarily fat, but it was just swollen. I always had, if I ate, I had a swollen belly, and I knew, I've shared that my digestion I had issues with my digestion. Well, that's gone now. And if you look at my body shape, I never weigh myself. I don't like scales, okay? Because scales can lie to you depending on how hydrated you are, whether you've been in the bathroom and all the rest of it. Don't do scales. But where I'm going for saunas in the morning, there is scales there. Now, before I started, this was probably about, and I'm not trying to lose weight, by the way, I'm just saying you, it was probably about 6 weeks ago, maybe not even 4 weeks ago. There was scales there and I got on them. I was 91 kilos. I don't know what that is in stone if you're watching this in England. 91 kilos. I've just checked then. I'm 86.5. Okay. And I'm actually eating more fat. Okay. So you need raw fats, according to this guy. I knew this anyway, actually, this part. You need raw fats and quality fats to help the body get rid of bad fats. Okay. So, as I said, I don't want to be a tool, but I'm going to show people, because there is if you share in the spiritual aspect, the mental aspect, and the physical aspect, and the nutrition, then I think it's only fair to share what I've found that I really enjoy exercise-wise. And I'm just going to show the difference in my body shape. I actually think my body, even though I'm not looking for like a gym body, but I actually think my physical body is looking and feeling better than it has in the last 12 years. A lot of my injuries are clearing up. So anyway, yeah, I'm feeling good. But remember this is still all earthly stuff, okay? When you look at people who are breatharians, and I watched a great video of a guy who was a breatharian. He said it's took me years to get to this point. And by getting to this point, I had heavy foods until I refined my body to start having less foods and lighter foods. And in my experience, raw meat is a lighter food than cooked meat, without a shadow of a doubt. But he's saying then he went lighter, went vegetarian, went to less foods, and then he said he was a yogi as well. My body, I've refined my body to be able to absorb nutrients, okay, and prana, chi, energy, from oxygen and from the world around me, okay? So remember, when we're breathing in, there's a thing in Japan where they forest bathe, okay? When you get in nature, if you get on the beach and you breathe in the nutrients of the ocean, You breathe in the nutrients of the sand and the sun, right, in the air. You breathe in, when you're in the woods, you breathe in all that goodness. There is a floating microbiome, okay? So we can actually get minerals and vitamins and everything from breathing in, but we're also refining our body to absorb the energy. So remember, everything I'm sharing now, it might be for you, it might not be for you. I'm a big fan of testing everything and trying it, putting yourself through it. But it's still earthly stuff. You get too attached to this earthly stuff, you get too attached to the earth. It is vitally important that you start dedicating 10-15 minutes to connecting to higher frequencies, spiritual frequencies, asking for forgiveness, bringing them in, and have the intention of healing yourself and being a better you for the benefit of others. And then increase that time, 15 minutes a day, half an hour a day, an hour a day. Singing love, peace, harmony, Om Mani Padme Hum, whatever you want, okay? That's the most important thing. Because whatever happens in the physical body, it's because of spiritual reasons anyway. But that doesn't mean we just ignore the physical body, okay? We do both. We work on a spiritual level, we clear our mind, and we purify the body. So yeah, have any questions, please ask them underneath. And that's all I really wanted to cover today. It took way longer than I thought it would. I'm sorry. Have a beautiful day. I love you all. Bye bye.